The wind cut through the barren mountains like a knife. Snow swirled in chaotic patterns, blanketing the land in white. In the middle of this frozen wilderness, a small figure struggled through the drifts. He was a human explorer named Elias, clad in heavy layers, yet the cold gnawed at him relentlessly. His breath came in frosty clouds, and his boots sank deep into the thick snow with every step. Elias had been following a strange energy signal on his portable scanner. The source was weak but persistent, unlike anything he had ever seen before. He had trekked for hours through this desolate place, driven by curiosity and a strange, urgent feeling he could not explain. The world around him was silent except for the occasional howl of the wind. Then ahead, something caught his eye. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, a pair of shapes lying still in the snow. As he drew closer, his heart nearly stopped. Two small humanoid figures lay motionless, half buried in snow. Their skin shimmered faintly, bluish under the cold sunlight, and their eyes, large and glistening, stared blankly at the sky. They were twins, and they were dying. Beside them, two animals, a strange mix between wolves and dogs, whined softly, their fur matted with snow. They refused to leave the twins' side, nudging them gently, trying to awaken them. Elias knelt down, careful not to crush the fragile forms with his heavy boots. His hand shook as he touched one of the twins' shoulders. They were warm but fading quickly. "Who? What are you?" Elias whispered, more to himself than anyone else. One of the twins moved weakly, opening its eyes slightly. They were luminous, full of a strange intelligence, even in weakness. A faint sound escaped its throat, something between a whisper and a hum. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. This was no ordinary being. These creatures had come from somewhere far beyond his knowledge. The other twin shifted slightly, coughing and shivering violently. Its small hands tried to reach out to Elias, but its strength was failing. The dogs growled softly at anyone who approached too closely, yet they allowed him near when they saw the human's careful and gentle actions. Elias knew he had to act fast. The twins' bodies were failing, and the cold would take them in minutes if he didn't find shelter. He scanned the area desperately. The mountains were jagged, but in the distance he saw a small cave partially hidden behind a ridge. It wasn't much, but it was better than staying out in the open. Carefully, he scooped up one of the twins, then the other, feeling their lightness. They were incredibly fragile, almost like walking crystals, yet they exuded a quiet warmth. The dogs followed closely, nudging the twins with their noses and whining softly. Elias shivered but pushed forward, his boots crunching through the snow. Every step felt heavier than the last, but he refused to stop. The wind grew stronger as he neared the cave. Snow whipped around him in furious gusts, but the cave offered shelter, at least from the wind. He laid the twins down gently, making a bed of his extra clothing to keep them from freezing further. The dogs curled up beside them, guarding them instinctively. Elias set down his pack and removed his thermal blanket, wrapping it around the twins as best he could. He realized that simple warmth might not be enough. He needed food, water, and medical supplies, but the twins' physiology was completely unknown to him. Every human assumption might fail. He sat back, exhausted, and studied them. Their skin was cool to the touch but pulsing faintly. Their breathing was shallow, and every exhale formed tiny clouds in the icy cave. Elias felt a wave of fear mixed with awe. These beings were so unlike anything humanity had encountered, yet they seemed so vulnerable. "I won't let you die here," he said firmly. The twins didn't respond, but their faint pulses seemed to react to his voice. Elias realized that even their consciousness was delicate, sensitive to the world around them. The sound of distant cracking ice echoed through the cave entrance. Elias glanced up. Outside, snow had drifted heavily, covering the landscape in a silent white wilderness. The storm was coming, and soon the world outside would become even more treacherous. He tried to think. How had they ended up here? The twins bore no visible injuries, but they were clearly exhausted and weakened. Perhaps their spacecraft had crashed, or they had been forced to flee from something unknown. Either way, they were in grave danger. Elias rummaged through his pack for supplies. He had a basic first aid kit, energy rations, and portable heat packs. Carefully, he applied heat packs to the twins' backs, hoping it would stimulate their fading bodies. He tried speaking again, gently, softly. "I don't know what you are, but I'm not going to leave you here. You'll be safe." The twins stirred slightly. One weakly lifted a hand toward him, and he took it gently. Their skin felt oddly smooth, almost like fine crystal, yet warm beneath his fingers. Elias felt a strange connection, an unspoken understanding. These beings were intelligent, aware, and scared, just like humans. The dogs shifted closer, their noses pressed against the twins' shoulders. One licked a small hand, and Elias realized these animals had bonded with the aliens. They were loyal, protective, and desperate to help in any way they could. Suddenly, a faint sound reached Elias's ears, like a soft vibration. He looked at the twins' chest, noticing tiny pulses of light under their skin, pulsing in rhythm with the sound. It was almost musical, faint like a heartbeat and a song combined. Elias had never seen anything like it. He leaned closer. The twins' eyes opened wider, revealing deep pools of light and color. He could sense fear, confusion, and hope all at once. It struck him that even in this desperate moment they had not given up. They were fighting to survive, just as he was fighting to save them. Elias realized that if he could get them help, they might live. But in this frozen wilderness far from civilization, he had little chance of immediate rescue. He needed a plan fast. The storm outside was intensifying. Snow blocked the entrance partially, and the temperature inside the cave was dropping. Time was slipping away. Then he saw it, a faint shimmer in the snow near the cave entrance. Something glowed faintly, pulsing like the twins' chests. Elias approached carefully, and the dogs followed, growling softly. It was a small device, partially buried in snow. He brushed it off and examined it. Symbols and lights indicated it was some kind of communicator, or perhaps a beacon. He had no idea how it worked, but it might be their only hope. If he could activate it, maybe it could call for help, or reveal where the twins had come from. Elias glanced at them. They were too weak to do it themselves, and even if it failed, he knew he had to try. As he fiddled with the device, the twins' breathing grew more labored. One of them whispered a sound that seemed like a word, though Elias couldn't understand it. It felt urgent, pleading. The dogs nudged him insistently, sensing the urgency as well. Elias tightened his jaw. "Hang on, I'll do everything I can," he murmured. His fingers worked quickly, pressing buttons, adjusting settings. Suddenly the device hummed to life. A beam of faint light shot upward, cutting through the darkness outside. The twins' eyes widened slightly as if they recognized it. Their weak hands reached for the light. Elias felt a pang of hope, and the dogs barked softly, excited. Maybe help was coming. Maybe he had done something unthinkable. He had chosen to intervene, risking his own safety in the storm, to save beings from another world. Outside, the wind roared, snow whipped past, and the storm raged on. Inside, Elias, the twins, and the loyal dogs waited. The unthinkable act had been done. He had crossed the line between human curiosity and human compassion. Now they would all face the consequences together. And then, a faint shadow appeared in the distance, moving through the snow toward the cave, a shadow that did not belong to any human. Elias tensed, wondering whether it was friend or foe. The storm obscured it, but one thing was certain. The night was far from over, and the real test of courage had only just begun. The shadow moved steadily through the snow, its form indistinct in the swirling white storm. Elias tightened his grip on the twins, holding them close under the thermal blanket. The dogs bristled, growling low in their throats, their eyes locked on the approaching figure. "What? Who are you?" Elias whispered, his voice trembling. The twins didn't respond. They were too weak, their small bodies trembling with cold. Yet one of them raised a faint hand toward the shadow as if it recognized it. The figure emerged slowly from the snow. It was humanoid, but taller than any human Elias had ever seen. Its skin glimmered faintly, a silver-blue sheen that reflected the storm. Its eyes shone like the twins', deep and luminescent, filled with both curiosity and caution. Elias's heart pounded. Was this being friend or foe? The snow whipped around them, making the situation feel unreal. He felt a surge of protectiveness for the twins and the dogs. Whatever this was, he wouldn't let it harm them. The stranger raised its hand slowly, showing no weapon. Its voice, soft but clear, carried over the storm. "Do not be afraid. I am here to help." Elias exhaled slowly, relief mixing with confusion. The shadow approached the cave entrance, kneeling down to inspect the twins. Its hands were long and delicate like the twins, and as it touched them, a faint warmth spread through their bodies. Their breathing became steadier, and their eyes blinked, focusing on the newcomer. "They are cold, nearly frozen," the being said in a voice that seemed to resonate with a musical quality. "We must move them to safety." Elias nodded, trying to catch his breath. I've brought them in here. It's the only shelter I could find. The alien looked around the cave, its glowing eyes scanning every surface. It is temporary. The storm grows stronger. We must leave soon. The twins weakly lifted their heads, gazing at the newcomer. One of them made a soft sound, almost like laughter, though faint and fragile. Elias realized they recognized this being. Perhaps it was family, or a guardian. He carefully handed one of the twins to the stranger. Its touch was gentle, almost reverent. The warmth from the being seemed to flow into the alien child, stabilizing its weak heartbeat. Elias felt a strange awe. Here was proof that intelligence and compassion existed far beyond Earth. The other twin was still in Elias's arms, shivering violently. He wrapped the blanket tighter around it, whispering softly, trying to calm it. The dogs pressed closer, sensing the tension. Their loyalty was unwavering. The stranger glanced at Elias. You have done what few humans would. You saved them from certain death. For this we are grateful. Elias blinked, astonished. Grateful? For me? I didn't know what else to do. You acted with courage and compassion, the alien replied. Two qualities rare and precious. You have shown the strength of your species. The twins stirred in the stranger's arms, their color slowly returning. One opened its mouth, attempting to speak. A sound soft and melodic escaped. Though Elias could not understand it, he felt the meaning. Thank you. The storm outside grew louder, shaking loose snow from the cave entrance. The stranger turned back to Elias. We must leave now. This place is no longer safe. Come with us if you wish. Elias hesitated. The idea of leaving the cave, venturing into the blizzard with fragile beings and strange animals, seemed impossible. But he looked at the twins, at their trusting eyes, and then at the dogs, and his decision was clear. I'll come, he said. I can't leave them here. The alien nodded. Then we must move quickly. Together they stepped out into the storm. The wind tore at their clothing, snow stinging their faces. Elias held tightly to one twin while the stranger carried the other. The dogs ran close, guiding them along what seemed to be a hidden path. Elias marveled at how the alien moved through the snow as if it were solid ground, gliding gracefully despite the blizzard. Hours seemed to pass, though it was hard to measure time in the storm. The twins' breaths grew steadier, their weak pulses now more regular. Elias realized that the stranger was using subtle methods, heat, energy, and something he could not comprehend, to stabilize them. Finally, they reached a plateau overlooking a hidden valley. Snow drifts blocked direct access, but a faint light glowed ahead. It was a settlement of some kind, domed structures that shimmered faintly under the snow, powered by an energy source Elias could not identify. This is our refuge, the alien said, safe from the storm and predators. Here they will survive. Elias's eyes widened. Refuge from predators? The stranger nodded. Your world is not yet ready for contact with all life forms. But here they will be safe and we can heal them fully. As they descended toward the settlement, Elias noticed other beings, tall, lithe creatures similar to the twins, moving with care and purpose. They watched the newcomers approach, curiosity and caution in their eyes. Some carried tools or devices that emitted soft light. Others guided small animal-like companions similar to the dogs but more exotic in appearance. Elias felt a surge of awe. He had stumbled into a world entirely unknown to humanity. Yet despite the strangeness, there was a sense of order and peace here. He realized that compassion, courage, and loyalty were universal qualities. Inside the domed structures, warmth enveloped them instantly. The air was breathable yet somehow pure, infused with a faint glow that made everything shimmer softly. The stranger placed the twins gently on a surface that seemed to cradle them perfectly. Small devices floated around them, emitting light and energy that accelerated healing. The twins' eyes fluttered open fully now, gazing at Elias with gratitude and trust. They reached out weakly, and he took their hands, feeling the fragile pulse of life returning. The dogs settled beside them, exhausted but vigilant. The stranger turned to Elias. You must rest. The journey has been harsh. But first, you must understand, these twins are not like your species. They are part of a lineage older than your son, capable of surviving harsh environments that would destroy your kind. Elias nodded, too amazed to speak. He sat down, letting exhaustion wash over him. The storm outside continued, but inside the warmth and light offered a fragile sense of security. Hours later, as the twins slept peacefully, the stranger spoke again. "There is more to your presence here than chance. Your intervention was not accidental. You were guided by something beyond yourself. Curiosity, compassion, and courage. These traits are rare and they have value." Elias listened, struggling to comprehend. "Value, in what sense?" "In the days to come," the stranger said, "you will face challenges that will test every fiber of your being. Your decisions will affect not only their survival but the survival of many others. Humanity, despite its flaws, has potential. You have shown a glimpse of it today." Elias felt a shiver, both of fear and excitement. He had never imagined being part of something so vast, so important. And yet, holding the tiny beings who trusted him completely, he knew he would do whatever was needed. Suddenly, a soft alarm sounded, echoing through the domed settlement. The light in the room shifted, highlighting panels of activity. Outside, through the translucent walls, Elias saw shadows moving in the snow, larger than any animal, moving in patterns that suggested intelligence. The stranger's eyes narrowed. "We are not alone. The storm has masked their approach. They have tracked the energy of the twins' device. We must prepare." Elias felt a surge of adrenaline. The calm inside the refuge was fragile, and the outside world was unpredictable and dangerous. He glanced at the twins, who stirred but remained weak, and then at the dogs, who growled softly, ready to defend. For the first time, Elias realized the full weight of his actions. By helping the twins, he had not only saved lives but had become a part of a larger struggle, one that spanned worlds and species. The stranger approached him. "You must understand. What comes next may challenge your very nature. But together, we may endure. Will you help us?" Elias swallowed hard, feeling the cold sweat on his brow. He had no idea what awaited them, but he knew one thing for certain. He would not abandon these beings. He had acted once unthinkably against all odds, and he would do so again. Outside, the wind screamed, carrying with it the sounds of approaching life, intelligent, determined, and unknown. Inside, the refuge glowed and life pulsed in fragile forms, tethered by courage, compassion, and the unyielding will of one human. And in that moment, Elias understood that the storm was not just outside. The storm was within, around, and ahead, but he would face it. For the twins, for the dogs, for humanity. The wind outside howled like a living creature, rattling the domed walls of the refuge. Elias stood beside the glowing platform where the twins rested, their small forms pulsing faintly with renewed life. The dogs lay near them, alert and tense, ears twitching at every sound. Despite the warmth inside, Elias could feel the tension pressing against his chest. The shadows outside were not mere animals, they were intelligent, and they were hunting. The stranger who had rescued the twins, its silver blue skin shimmering faintly in the room's soft light, turned toward Elias. "They can sense the energy of the device," it said, voice calm but urgent. "They are drawn to it. Their intentions are unknown, but we must assume they are hostile." Elias nodded, swallowing hard. He had already risked his life once for these fragile beings. Now it seemed that danger was coming again, more dangerous, more deliberate. He clenched his fists. He would not allow harm to come to the twins or the dogs. Not now, not ever. The stranger raised its hand and a holographic map appeared above the platform. Small glowing dots shifted and moved, indicating the approach of multiple entities. Elias studied them with wide eyes. "How many?" he asked. "Too many," the stranger replied, "and too fast. They are coordinating. We have only minutes." Elias felt a surge of fear but also determination. The twins were weak, but they had survived this long because of him. He would not abandon them. He glanced at the dogs, who seemed to sense the seriousness of the moment. Their growls grew deeper, a warning to anything that dared approach. "We need defenses," Elias said. "Tell me what I can do." The alien nodded, its eyes glowing brighter. "You will learn quickly. Focus on protecting them. Trust in instinct." Elias followed instructions as the stranger guided him through a series of preparations. Devices hummed and glowed as they activated protective shields around the twins and the refuge. Holographic barriers shimmered faintly, creating zones of safety that flickered with energy. Elias watched in awe. The technology was far beyond anything humanity had ever created, but understanding it was secondary. Acting decisively was what mattered. Minutes passed. The first signs of movement appeared outside. Shadows slithered across the snow, barely visible in the storm. Elias could feel the ground vibrating faintly beneath him as the hunters advanced. The dogs growled, their fur bristling, while the twins shifted slightly, sensing the tension. Suddenly, the wall of the dome flashed with a warning light. The shields detected multiple points of pressure. Elias's heart pounded. "They're here," he whispered. The stranger's eyes narrowed. "Prepare yourself. What comes next will test everything you know about courage and survival." The hunters struck suddenly. Snow exploded against the dome as sharp, angular figures collided with the protective barrier. Elias could hear the metal hum, the force pressing outward as if trying to break through. The dogs barked furiously, circling the twins, alert and fearless despite the storm outside. Elias gripped a control panel, his fingers moving quickly to activate defensive measures. Beams of light formed around the dome, intensifying the shield. The attackers recoiled slightly, but their persistence was relentless. One shadow managed to press against a weakened point in the barrier. Elias acted instinctively, pressing a button that released a pulse of energy. The figure staggered, hissing in frustration, and retreated momentarily. The stranger stepped forward, hands glowing. Waves of energy flowed outward, reinforcing the shields and stabilizing the twins. Elias marveled at the alien's precision, but he also realized that without his help, they might have been overwhelmed. The twins stirred slightly, their eyes opening wider. Though weak, they seemed to draw strength from the presence of Elias and the stranger. One whispered softly, a sound that resonated like music. The other reached out, fingers brushing against Elias's hand. In that moment, he understood. They trusted him completely. The attackers adjusted their strategy. Moving as one, they pressed against the shield, testing for weaknesses. The dome shuddered with the impact. Elias felt the vibration in his bones, a stark reminder of how fragile their safety was. "They are intelligent," Elias said, realizing aloud what the stranger already knew. "They know how to attack, how to coordinate. They're not just animals, they're hunters," the stranger nodded. "Yes, they are evolved for survival and combat, but they have never encountered a human who fights for compassion rather than conquest." Elias's eyes widened. The stranger was telling him that humanity, his species, could be different even in the eyes of these unknown hunters. That gave him hope, but also responsibility. He would not fail. He studied the control panel, noticing a small, untested function. It was labeled in symbols he could not understand, but instinct urged him to try it. Hesitating only briefly, he pressed the button. A soft hum filled the room, and a wave of energy spread outward, forming intricate patterns in the snow outside. The hunters faltered, confused by the new energy pattern. Their coordinated movements broke into disarray. The stranger's eyes glowed brighter, reinforcing the shields. Elias realized that even with alien technology, quick thinking and human intuition had made the difference. The twins, sensing the change, began to stir more actively. Their weak hands moved, and faint pulses of light traveled along their bodies. Elias felt a mixture of awe and urgency. If they could stabilize further, they might be able to help defend themselves. The dogs sensed the shift as well. Their growls turned into low barks of encouragement, as if urging Elias and the twins forward. Elias smiled despite the danger. Loyalty, courage, and trust. They were weapons as strong as any technology. Suddenly, one of the hunters broke through the outer snowdrift and pressed against the barrier. Elias acted instinctively, pressing another sequence on the panel. A beam of light shot outward, striking the figure. It staggered and let out a sound that was more a warning than a scream. It retreated, but more were coming, testing different points. Elias realized that the battle was not about brute strength. It was about persistence, clever thinking, and working together. He glanced at the twins, who were now glowing faintly, responding to the energy of the refuge. Their bodies were healing, but their presence was becoming a part of the defense. The stranger stepped forward, touching the twins lightly. A pulse of light shot outward, merging with Elias's energy pulse. Together, human and alien, they created a combined force that pushed back the attackers. The hunters hissed and shrieked, frustrated by this unexpected resistance. Hours seemed to pass in the storm. Elias was exhausted, yet he refused to stop. He switched between panels, directed the twins' energy as best he could, and guided the dogs in defensive maneuvers. The attackers, relentless but confused, eventually began to retreat. One by one, they slinked back into the storm, leaving behind only the echo of their movements. Finally, silence fell. The storm outside still raged, but the immediate danger was gone. Elias sank to his knees, breathing heavily. The twins lay safely on the platform, their weak pulses now steady. The dogs curled beside them, panting but vigilant. The stranger turned to Elias, eyes glowing with approval. "You have done what few could. You have faced fear and acted with courage, guided by compassion. The hunters will return, but now you understand. Together you are stronger than they are." Elias nodded, still trying to catch his breath. He looked at the twins, who were now resting peacefully, and then at the dogs, who had refused to leave their side. I just did what I had to," he said softly. The stranger's voice was gentle. "You did more than act. You taught them something they may never have understood, that protection and care can be stronger than any attack. You are part of this now. Their lives, and perhaps others, depend on the choices you make." Elias felt a sense of awe. He had gone from an explorer seeking a mysterious signal to a protector of fragile alien life, standing against unknown hunters. He realized that heroism was not about glory. It was about courage in the face of impossible odds and compassion when it mattered most. Suddenly, the twins shifted slightly. One opened its eyes fully and reached toward Elias. The other hummed softly, a melodic sound that seemed to echo in his mind. He understood. Though they could not speak in words, they were communicating gratitude, trust, and connection. The stranger placed a hand on Elias's shoulder. "Rest now. You have earned it, but soon, the challenges will grow. The hunters will return, and you must be ready. Remember, your heart, courage, and compassion are as important as any weapon." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He had already crossed lines he never imagined, acted in ways that seemed impossible. But he had done it for life, for the defenseless, and for a chance to show that humanity could rise to greatness. As he closed his eyes for a brief rest, he could still hear the wind outside, carrying with it faint echoes of the hunters. He knew the storm was far from over. But inside, the twins glowed faintly. The dogs slept at their sides, and for the first time, Elias felt a quiet hope. The unthinkable act, the act of reaching out to strangers from another world, risking everything, had begun a chain of events that would change the course of many lives. The storm outside would rage, the hunters would return. But now Elias understood. Courage, compassion, and unity were forces no storm could destroy. And somewhere deep in the snow, in the shadows, the hunters watched and waited. The storm had not ceased. Outside, snow swirled in chaotic patterns, whipping against the domed walls of the refuge. Yet inside, the light shimmered softly, holding warmth and life within its protective bubble. Elias stood beside the twins, who had regained some strength but remained fragile. The dogs lay alert, ears twitching, as if sensing that something even more significant was approaching. The stranger, the silver-blue alien who had first rescued the twins, hovered near the control panels, watching the horizon through the translucent walls. "They are returning," it said, voice steady but filled with urgency. "The hunters have regrouped. They are stronger and more determined than before." This is the final test. Elias's jaw tightened. He had faced impossible odds before, but this time he understood the scale of what was at stake. The hunters were intelligent, coordinated, and relentless. Yet he also knew that the twins, the dogs, and even himself had grown stronger. They had faced fear and survived. He could not fail now. "Then we fight," Elias said, determination in his voice. "We protect them, whatever it takes." The stranger nodded. "Yes, but remember, strength alone will not win this. It is your heart, your courage, and your ability to inspire that will determine the outcome." Elias glanced at the twins. Their small hands clutched the blanket, eyes wide and glowing faintly. Though weak, they exuded a quiet confidence. The dogs nudged them, growling softly, and Elias realized the truth. This was not just a battle of force. It was a battle of connection, of trust, and of hope. Outside, the hunters pressed forward through the blizzard. Their forms were now clearer, tall, angular, with eyes that glowed faintly in the storm. Their movements were precise, almost mechanical, yet undeniably intelligent. Elias felt a surge of fear but pushed it aside. Fear would not help them now. The stranger activated the shields around the refuge. Energy pulses shimmered outward, forming intricate patterns that distorted the hunter's approach. The twins stirred, their bodies glowing brighter as they absorbed and reflected the energy. Elias watched in awe. The twins' connection to this world and to him was growing stronger by the minute. Suddenly, one hunter slammed against the shield with immense force. The dome trembled, and snow rattled violently against its walls. The dogs barked furiously, running in circles, alerting Elias to weak points. He acted instinctively, pressing panels and activating countermeasures. Pulses of energy surged outward, pushing the hunter back, but more were following. Elias realized that this was more than a physical battle. It was a test of ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Every choice, every action could tip the balance. He glanced at the twins, seeing them focus their small but growing energy on the shields. The stranger nodded encouragingly. "You are learning quickly," it said. "Your actions and theirs are merging. Together you form a force the hunters cannot anticipate." The twins hummed softly, a melodic resonance that intertwined with the energy pulses of the refuge. Elias felt it in his chest, a warmth, a connection, a bond that transcended language or species. The dogs growled, sensing the surge, and moved instinctively to guard the twins. The hunters attacked again, pressing against the shields with coordinated precision. This time Elias acted preemptively, combining his control with the twins' emerging abilities. Energy pulses spiraled outward, forming intricate barriers that disrupted the hunters' strategy. One by one, the attackers faltered, confused by the unexpected force. Elias's confidence grew. He realized that heroism was not about being the strongest. It was about trust, unity, and the courage to act when others could not. He pressed forward with energy pulses, guiding the twins' power, while the dogs moved strategically, blocking and alerting him to weak points. The battle raged for hours. The storm outside continued, but inside a pattern emerged. The hunters' coordination weakened, their attacks becoming less precise. Elias, the twins, and the dogs had formed a rhythm, a unity that the hunters could not break. Suddenly, the leader of the hunters, a larger, more imposing figure, broke through the outer energy barriers. Elias tensed. This was the final challenge. The leader's glowing eyes fixed on the twins. It hissed, pressing forward with terrifying speed. Elias acted instinctively, stepping in front of the twins. "Not here." "Not now!" he shouted. He raised his hands, directing energy pulses at the approaching hunter. The stranger joined him, amplifying the shield with waves of light. The twins, weak but determined, focused their small energy, adding their force to the defense. The clash was immense. Light and energy collided with the hunter's attack, shaking the domed refuge. Elias felt the power surging through him. Fear, courage, determination, and love all intertwined. The hunter staggered, its glowing eyes narrowing, and for a moment Elias thought they might fail. But then something extraordinary happened. The twins' combined energy surged outward in a radiant wave, synchronized perfectly with Elias's will and the stranger's support. The leader of the hunters shrieked, its form flickering under the pressure, and finally it recoiled, retreating into the blizzard. One by one, the remaining hunters followed, their coordination broken. The storm raged, but the threat was gone, for now. Elias sank to his knees, exhausted but victorious. The twins lay safely on the platform, their pulses strong, their small hands reaching for him. The dogs pressed close, protective and loyal. The stranger approached, its glowing eyes filled with admiration. "You have done what no one thought possible. You have protected the vulnerable, faced impossible odds, and inspired unity across species. This is the essence of true courage." Elias felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had crossed boundaries, faced fear, and acted unthinkably, not for glory, not for reward, but for life itself. He realized that this was the meaning of heroism. It was not about power. It was about compassion, trust, and courage in the face of the unknown. The twins stirred again, one reaching up to touch Elias's face. Their small hands radiated warmth, a silent thank you that spoke louder than words. Elias smiled through his exhaustion. He understood them not through language, but through the bond they shared. The stranger placed a hand gently on Elias's shoulder. "The world beyond will need more like you. Humanity has potential, your species has potential. Today you proved that one individual's courage can shape the destiny of many." Elias nodded, overwhelmed by the weight of their words. He had started the day as an ordinary explorer, chasing a mysterious signal in the snow. Now he was part of something greater, part of a story that spanned worlds, species, and the unyielding spirit of life. The twins' energy continued to stabilize, their glow fading to a calm, steady pulse. The dog settled beside them, exhausted but safe. Elias took a deep breath, finally allowing himself to rest, knowing that he had done the unthinkable. Outside, the storm began to calm. Snowflakes drifted lazily through the air, the wind losing its bite. The hunters had retreated, but their presence remained a reminder that danger always existed. Yet inside the refuge, warmth and light endured, a testament to courage, compassion, and unity. The stranger spoke softly, almost to itself. The storm may return, others may come, but for now, they live, and you have shown that humanity is capable of greatness. Elias looked at the twins, who were now sleeping peacefully, and at the dogs, who lay protectively by their side. He realized that the bond they shared, human, alien, and canine, was stronger than any threat, more enduring than any storm. In that quiet moment, he understood the truth. Heroism is not about conquering others. It is about standing up when it matters most, risking everything for those who cannot protect themselves, and finding strength in compassion and unity. The unthinkable act, rescuing the dying alien twins and protecting them from unknown hunters, had changed everything. It had changed Elias, the twins, the dogs, and perhaps in some small way the course of the universe. And as the first light of dawn filtered through the snow, painting the refuge in soft gold, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. There would be more storms, more challenges, and more unknowns. But now he was ready. He had seen the best of humanity, the courage to act, the heart to care, and the spirit to endure. Outside, the world was cold and uncertain. Inside, life pulsed steadily, a quiet victory against the chaos. And in that moment, Elias smiled, knowing that the unthinkable could be achieved when one dared to act, guided not by fear but by compassion, courage, and hope. For in a universe so vast, so mysterious, one human had done what many thought impossible. And that one act, simple, selfless, and unyielding, was enough to change everything.